Hey, David.
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Good. All right, just letting a couple people in.
What's the temperature there today?
In Toronto here, it's about -12 again. Yeah, it's freezing here.
How about up there?
Well, it's interesting here. It's a balmy, I don't know, 15 degrees or something like that. But yesterday I drove an hour and a half north and I must have seen a half a dozen microclimates that ran. Nothing was as warm as it was here. It's bright and sunny and no wind, but 15 degrees here, literally 5 miles away, it was -11.
Oh,
Just bizarre.
is it the mountains that make a difference?
I
there,
can't
or-
explain it. I can't explain it. I'm a sailor, and so I'm tuned into how the weather works. I have yet to figure it out here. It's just bizarre. Microclimates, 6 of them between here and where my meeting was in Sterling yesterday. But no wind, bright, sunny, dry roads, great driving. No traffic.
Surprising.
In the summertime, it's a nightmare. Basically, if you want to turn left on the Highway 1 here, too many RVs, nobody lets you in, forget it, can't do it.
Hey, Eric, how's it going?
Great. How about you?
Yeah, can't complain.
Good.
It could, but it wouldn't do any good. See a few people there. No faces, but some names I recognize, one or two anyway. CSD, what is that?
Well, let's give it a couple of more minutes for the Department of Ed folks to join. We're in no great rush, but we would like to.
I have a quorum.
Hi,
Hey,
Hi, Sushil.
Hello.
Hello.
sorry, I'm still driving, so I'm almost home. I have to pick my daughter up from school.
Oh,
So I am not, you're not gonna be able to see me, so, but I am here.
good, good, good.
hello.
Are we still
Wow.
waiting for folks?
Yeah, I think we ought to give it another minute or so. Let me see, we have Benicia, L. Hopkins, PU Clary, Michelle, Wesley Gross, Denise, Amy Bubico. And then, of course, on our side, everybody's here. We've got 5 folks from our side.
Awesome, great.
And we've already discussed the weather, so
We're pretty much out of topic.
right, pretty much, pretty much.
That's pretty much everything, huh? Well, COVID is like really kicking me down this week. It's been, well, I don't have it, but it's just been everybody calling in, messing up the carpool for school. It's just all this drama related to that. So
Yeah.
that's been on my agenda this week.
Yep. We got a couple of folks that are down and out this week, but they'll recover pretty quickly. They're doing fine.
Awesome, good news.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
Harry.
I know quite a few people in Toronto here who've got it, but everyone I know has said it's been relatively not too severe for them, so that's good.
Right. Well, what do you think? Think we should get going?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I don't, did Harry get on?
Yes,
Yep, I'm-
Harry's here.
I'm here.
Okay, then yeah, I think we should go ahead and start. And do you want to kick it off or you want me to?
Go ahead, Sushil.
Well, hi, everybody.
Yeah.
This, as you all know, we're starting our new contract. It started at the beginning of the year with BSS. And this meeting is to kick off the demo for the automated agenda item, or the automated agenda software. So that's, I asked George to do a demo, and that's what this meeting's about. And I'm going to turn it over to George.
Good. Thank you, Sushil. So yes, we're going to go through the features that were the requirement of the RFP. And we believe that we have satisfied all of those requirements, and we're going to show you that. We're also going to take the opportunity to give you an idea of how these things will operate from a live meeting perspective. We think that's very important because there are some things that folks that are responsible for each of the groups that we do work for in the boardroom will be responsible for, such as managing the chats, managing the Q&A, and receiving registrations for online viewers. So from our perspective, or from our side, we have Kevin Richardson, David, and I can never pronounce your last name, David, myself, Clayton Moore, and Eric, whom you all know. And at this point, I'd like to ask Kevin to go ahead and walk through the demonstration that we have put together, actually using the State Board of Education meeting, since that agenda was available to us when we put this together the other day. So Kevin, please go right ahead and take it away.
Thanks, George. So I'm just going to share my screen here, and I'll try to describe it as well for the people who are on the phone. So here we have the same page that you guys have been using for a very long time. People will be able to continue to watch the stream here if they don't want to comment, if they just want to watch or see the text-only version. You'll notice there's the addition below of a registration form. And that's for the people who would like to post comments and see the agenda. So maybe what I'll do is I'll post this link in the chat, and then everyone can also try it out. All right, so the link is in the chat there.
Okay, so we're asking all of you to go ahead and register if you can, if you would like, and you will begin to see how the process works.
Yeah, so I've entered my first name, last name, email. I click register. It says, thank you for registering. You'll receive an email with your link to join the event. So just jumping over to my email here. This confirmation email is totally customizable. You can change what it says. The essential part is it has a join now button. So people receive a unique link, and this unique link identifies you. So there's actually no login process. You just click join, and it logs you in automatically. And see, it knows I'm Kevin Richardson, and I'm automatically logged in. This is just a Apple video as a template, but that'll be your stream there. Post a chat message. So this is where people will be able to comment. And then there's also a Q&A tab where people can ask questions.
So does everybody see that on the right-hand side of the video window? There are two tabs there. There's a chat tab and a Q&A tab. Okay.
Scrolling down, this is where people will see the agenda, as well as document downloads.
Those links are all hot. They are all live.
So this is downloading a file, very simple.
Is that an embed of the agenda page? For example, if we change the web page, it'll be reflected there.
No, it's not automatically updated. We're presuming, so that's a great point, Rodney. Thanks for joining, by the way. The real question is, how often does the agenda change and when should we post it? So the Bagley-Keene rules are 10 days in advance, the agenda needs to be posted. This is why we used the SBE agenda, because it was up on Monday morning when we put this together. If the agenda can or will be changed prior to the actual go live time of the meeting, then we would have to re-upload the agenda. So I don't know the answer to that. Do you, Rodney?
I think mainly it'd be the attachments that would get updated or added. I mean, Bagley-Keene, we generally have the items up there. But I think attachments are more fluid. We'd have to let you know if there are any changes.
You're right, Rodney. This is Amy Bebico in the State Board Office. There are some attachments that are updated, and also we add the presentations sometimes, the day before, 2 days before the meeting. And then there's also the occasion where we'll have an addenda that we'll have to post either the day of the meeting or the day before. So that will happen, and it does happen quite frequently.
Okay, so this raises an interesting logistics question. When should we post the agenda?
Well, under Bagley-Keene, the agenda does have to be posted 10 days prior to the meeting. So that will always be the case. But like I said, there are going to be occasions where we'll have addenda to an item, or we'll have PowerPoint presentations that we'll have to post in regards to a specific item.
Okay, but what we're posting here, is that considered an official agenda or simply a reflection of the official agenda?
It's an official agenda.
Okay, but okay, so the question is, we're providing this for purposes of video. And which is the agenda of record? The one that we have, or the one on the California Department of Education website?
I think it'd be the website.
Right,
They
right.
both should match, but they both should match.
They both should match, correct?
Agreed. Then the only way that we can post the agenda is to do it the day of, to make sure that they match.
Okay, well then that part would be a problem because it would have to be up 10 days prior.
Is it well, again, is it?
We would have to have something that's flexible to where if we needed to make changes that we could do that without you guys having to upload an entire agenda again.
This is Clay Silva from the Web Services Office at CDE. Just a quick question. I mean, would it make sense to post a URL, to post a link to the CDE agenda until the day of, and then replace it with the agenda on the day of? I mean, that link, so if you have a URL that is pointing, a link that's pointing to CDE's posted agenda, it's going to be accurate with any updates that are ever made to that agenda. Anytime somebody clicks on it, they'll get to the correct agenda. Could it be kind of a combo where you start off with linking to the agenda and then go with the full copy of it on the day of?
I would say that might be problematic because it would, if it's different, and then somebody might, I don't know. I don't know that that would meet the requirements. Amy, do you know that would meet the requirements?
I would have to check in with Judy, but yeah, the agenda, they both would have to definitely match. And, you know, we do have changes even the day of a meeting sometimes where things have to be updated or changed. And that would mean everything would have to match. So that's something I have
But
to check in
George-
with Judy.
George, let me ask you this. Are you saying that the software, whatever this program is, it won't allow for changes, like multiple changes throughout? Or are you saying once posted, you don't want to constantly go in and make changes to it?
Actually, neither. I like what Clay suggested. If all we do is post a link until the day of, then yes, any changes made, the link we don't care about because the link will go to the California Department of Education agenda page. The day of, if you want the full agenda under the video, which is what I think you want, that would be when instead of the link, we would replace the link with the agenda the 2 hours before the meeting starts.
Because no one's going to get to this page and they're not going to get here until the meeting, right? This is after login.
Well, some of them aren't even going to get here because they don't want to look at that.
Right.
Remember, we have two options for viewing. You can view without registering and you can view with registering.
Right. So this part down here, I don't think people are going to see until they're actually watching the meeting.
I would agree if they're registered and yes, that's correct. That would be correct.
Hi, this is Denise Figueroa. Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So I do the IQC meetings and I'm so sorry if I missed this part of it. Why are we posting the agenda here versus like, I guess that's what I don't understand or.
That was a requirement that we're meeting.
This is Venetia. Is there, so is there no option? It has to be posted here? Because I know we're all running into the same concern about how to keep our agendas current when they're changing up until the time of the meeting. So do they still have access to the other format that they did, or is this just in addition to the other way they could access agendas?
Well, I think the only way to, there's no way to immediately reflect on this screen that you're looking at right here, any changes that are made by the Department of Education. It won't happen. There is no link between this page and the Department of Education's agenda page. We have to manually take the agenda, copy it, paste it, and check all the links to the documents to make sure that everything works and then post it.
So it'd be in addition to just a second place for the agenda because that was part of the contract requirements.
Okay, so if we elect not to use this option, like for AXI, which is the commission we support, people would still be able to access it as they always have, but some people may also choose this option if they want to.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So maybe in that case, you just put a link down there.
It would just be a link.
Yes.
I know this is probably one of the hey George, Happy New Year to you and to the team. So just a quick question regarding the actual interface itself. So after you log in, you get access to this. You got a chat. You got a Q&A. And do you have the capability to shut that off when you don't want that option up?
Kevin?
So we have the ability to turn off the chat tab, but we don't have that same functionality for the question tab right now.
Okay. Okay.
I can show you that if you'd like.
Yeah, please
is that
do.
something on the back end? Is that something that, for example, that the program office at CDE would have access to Eventscape to make those changes on the fly? Or would they say, hey, you know, VSS, can you stop chat or enable chat or, you know?
I think once the broadcast starts, Rodney, it's going to be difficult for us to do more than more than what we've been doing, which is running the systems in the control room. The reason for the registration email addresses is somebody from Department of Ed who understands the subject matter will be responsible for moderating the chat and moderating the Q&A.
Okay.
Yep, so I've opened up the back end of Eventscape over here, and then you have the front end over here where all the viewers see. So over here we have the chat, over here we have the Q&A moderation. To hide the chat tab, you simply press hide chat and it just goes away. We really made that function typically just as a backup. If the chat gets out of hand, you can just make it go away entirely.
This is Clayton. I was going to say so that he'll show you the Teams area. Everybody who in CD who's a team for that meeting will be given access to this window. So an admin for a particular meeting will be added as a team member. They'll be given permissions to work with chat and to work with registration only. So I'm thinking that that being the case, they should be able to go right here and hide chat if they want. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
So Harry, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see what the back end looks like also, and how things are being managed. You know, because I know sometimes there also, you know, when people put into the chat, it becomes a free for all. So are there ways to kind of control that? Because sometimes
Very good point.
Yeah.
Very good point. Thank you, Rodney. I thank you, Harry.
Hey.
So the answer is, and we discussed this when we put this demonstration together, the interaction with chat and the interaction with Q&A are different. Kevin, can you explain the difference, please?
Yes, for sure. So chat messages go live instantly. For example, here, more test messages. If somebody posts something inappropriate, you can delete the message and it just goes away instantly.
But only after it's posted.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't preview them in advance because that would just slow down any kind of conversation entirely. But for Q&A, the flow is different. So here, I have one test question I posted earlier. Post another one. They go over here to the for review column. So they can be reviewed before going live. You can post a text reply to them on the back end.
Can you choose not to post the question?
You can. So this text button here will dismiss the question. They'll just go away over to the dismiss column and no one will ever see it.
And by default, actually right now he has moderation on, so the audience doesn't see the questions until you actually approve them.
Yeah, so if
So if you do put it in the dismiss column, can you undo that and put it back in the regular column?
You can. So I'll jump over to the dismiss column. I'll send this back. It sends it back to the for review column, and then I can send it live. So now you'll see it over here along with the text reply.
Hi, this is Amy again from the State Board Office. I have some concerns about the chat functionality in regards to, well, our meetings and also the advisory committee meetings. This wouldn't take the place of public comment, correct? I mean, we have specific times when members of the public can speak and we give them, you know, a time specific, you know, they can talk for 1 minute and then they don't get another opportunity to come up to the podium. How would we manage that in this type of situation with the chat function?
Completely separate, and I believe they would be completely separate. What you're,
And-
I believe, Amy, what you're talking about is audio presentations, either in person or over Zoom with a 1 minute clock running, where anybody can say pretty much anything they want if they get in line. The chat function is not quite the same thing. That's open all the time to anybody. as is the Q&A function. If you choose not to use chat, then the only option for the public throughout the course of the meeting will be to answer questions, but it requires somebody from the Department of Education responsible for each of the groups that we broadcast for to moderate the questions in the Q&A before they can be posted. So they're different.
Okay.
They're not replacing, it's actually adding on to the capability for people to participate in the meetings.
So for us, I know that we probably would not want to use the chat function because also everything that is, comes up on the chat is also subject to the Public Records Act. That would be a problem, I know, for Judy, our chief counsel. So, we would probably opt not to do the chat function for our meetings and also the advisory committee meetings.
Is that all of the ones that we covered? Sushil, do you know offhand if that's all of the meetings? Are they all advisory committee?
No,
No, there's several different committees.
Yeah, there's 6, I think we got total, including SBE.
Yeah.
So the reason I ask is we can slice it either way. We can eliminate chat. What we want to do is build a template for each one of the standard groups that says, don't include chat or do include chat.
Okay.
And I don't expect the answer today. I'm not looking for the answer today. This is a very easy fix on our side. We just want to set a template up for each one of the groups so that it's always the same and you have the same interface to look at. So SBE may not want chat, but ACCS might want chat. Everybody's going to get Q&A, but Q&A does require moderation.
So what if we don't want Q&A that way?
Kevin?
Yeah, that would be a problem too for us, I think.
Yeah, you can get rid of these tabs entirely.
Yeah,
if
I
you want.
don't think from the AXI that we would want to use that. I'm not positive, but I think
Yeah,
the
Venetia,
board and AXI have the same kind of concerns. I don't know that we want to go down that road just because of Bagley-Keene and all sorts of other issues.
Yeah, I agree.
Would you even
So-
need the registration function then? If they're not going to do chat or Q&A?
I guess I'd like to have Harry comment because we have another way that people access our meetings, and we provide people that are going to actually be presenting on the meeting are available on one format, and people that are just accessing the meeting but don't participate in it are set up another way. But maybe Harry could clarify that for us.
Yeah, I think for the folks that are participants or they're actually presenting, the panelists, they join through Zoom, and all this functionality is basically similar to what Zoom is. So this interface that's being presented right now is something it's an accommodation for the public, not necessarily the Zoom panelists. So what I'm trying to figure out is, yeah, if you are not a presenter, you're just a normal person coming in watching this, and you're not going to be asking any questions, then they're not going to need to register at all. But what I'm trying to figure out is, the state board or any of the other advisory councils, do you guys want that capability where you want the public to be able to submit Q&A through the web portal
or public comment? Because I thought that was one of the keys, is to have the ability to do public comment over this platform.
So yes, we wanted to have a platform where people could submit their written comments this way. And I guess I'm just trying to figure out how we would manage a Q&A. That would require staff to do that while the meeting is going on.
Yeah, I do. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No problem.
What's probably throwing people off is the fact that we're using chat and Q&A. You could rename the Q&A title to public comments, And you can say, instead of ask a question, submit your comment here. So if you want to do public, if you still want to use this as a modality to accept public comments, they can submit it through that. You're just changing the name from Q&A to public comments.
Yes.
And then we still need to retain the option to remove or disable that interface. And so I think we were just kind of getting stuck up when we see chat and when we see Q&A. Knowing how some of the state board stuff operates, if you do want to use it for public comment for intakes, let's just change the name to public comment instead of Q&A. And then instead of ask a question, submit your public comment. It's going to go through the same interface that Kevin is showing right now. I guess what I was also interested in is there a way to categorize and say that, okay, you know what, item 1 is we're up for public comment. I don't want to say Q&A. We're up for public comment. We're now accepting, questions through that mode. And then let's say item 2 comes up and we do the same thing. Is there a way to separate that?
I mean, by the item.
Sorry, Clayton, go ahead.
Oh, he's talking about, you mean make each item separate?
Yeah, you'd almost have to, maybe a board support person would just enter a Q&A or public comment that said item 2 starting or something, just to delineate it. Because eventually it looks like you'd export the whole thing anyways to.
And that would be a responsibility of the person moderating the public comment. And again, so just to make sure that everybody understands, if the public places a public comment in the Q&A window, it's not going to show up in the public comment area until the moderator approves it for posting. So that raises an interesting question with respect to the public itself, saying, I submitted this, but it wasn't posted.
Correct.
So isn't that
going to
where,
be-
if the moderator can't the moderator react back to the person posting the question without that going public?
The first question is, what happens if someone posts a question for public comment and the moderator refuses to post it because it's either inappropriate, out of order, or some other reason? It doesn't matter. The public is going to be left with the impression that they have submitted a question, but it's not on the record.
And I was going to say, I mean, right now, if someone was cursing through a public comment 9, can state board pretty much say, nope, we're cutting it out because they're using profane language? If you were using that same method for public comment through this portal, can you redact and before you post, edit, bleep out, star out, things of that sort?
I think the answer is yes, Kevin, right?
We don't have the ability to edit somebody's question at this point or public comment, but if that's something you require, we could make that change.
I mean, there's a lot of things at play here that, I mean, I can't speak for state board. I think what we're just trying to figure out is, is this something that the board can use, and can they use it in a way that it's going to suffice for accepting public comment electronically? And maybe Amy, if you don't mind jumping in, it's really about, well, you're making things easier to access for the people doing public comment. Is this something that the board has kind of thought about more in depthly of are they willing to accept public comment this way? And if the answer is yes, then it's going to be a matter of trying to figure out what's going to be the route or process to enable that.
Because you could always opt not to post
Yeah.
somebody's public comment. I mean, maybe there's a way to respond back to that user says due to the content, we're not able to post it.
I don't think we have the ability to, I mean, unless it was profane or something, I don't think we have the ability to tell the public you can't comment. I mean, that's the Bagley-Keene Act. They have the right to comment on anything they want to comment on.
Even if it's profane, I should think.
well, we've never had that situation, so I guess I don't honestly know the answer to that, but.
Well, here's the problem. This is gonna make it real easy for somebody to be profane. When they're standing in the room or they're on a Zoom call, it's very, very different than when they're not facing anybody and they
Yeah.
can throw, this is what the internet has done. It has allowed people without any consequence whatsoever to post a lot of things that, you know, well-mannered society wouldn't accept.
Correct.
You can't post a disclaimer. The use of profane language is.
Yeah.
But what's profane? I mean, then you get into the definitions.
Yeah. So, you know, I guess as so long as this is an option for us that we could, you know, speaking from AXI, just having not ran this through our management, of course, but it seems to me just having them have the option to call in and say their piece, and everybody can hear that as well. It's kind of the way we would go, but I guess I don't know that for sure. So if we elected to continue doing it as we are with public voice call in, we could still do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so we just have to decide which way we want to go.
Okay, you want to continue the, so I think what we're asking here is we've designated, I think, 6 groups. And we're willing to set up each group according to each group's own requirements with respect to whether or not to show chat, whether or not to show Q&A, or whether or not to use any of the features in this system. So what we need then is a response from each of the groups that says, this group would, SBE would like this, ACCS would like this, IQC would like this, and so that we can set these things up for you. And they're all optional. I mean, none of this is, you don't have to use any of this. And I understand that it does create more work with respect to the moderation component. But our goal is to accommodate each of the group's requirements. So we would need to get that from you all in emails if we could, pretty quickly, actually.
And just to clarify one thing, if the conclusion is you can't reject public comments, then you can, there's probably no point in having a moderator at that point. You can just disable it and then people can ask questions and they go live instantly. Just putting that out there.
No, that's a good point, because if they're going to let anything come through, you don't need to have anyone watch it. Unless it gets really bad and someone tells them, oh, we changed our mind. We don't want to let everything come through.
Yeah, and you could have them go live automatically and then zap them if someone does post something.
But then why would we even need this?
If what?
Why would we need an automated agenda and this type of platform if we were just gonna still do what we were already doing?
Yeah, true.
I guess I'm confused on what exactly did we want when we wanted to go this route? You know, I thought the point was to be able to post the comments, which this allows you to. So I guess I'm confused on what's not working.
Well, I guess I can only speak for AXI, and this is the first time we've heard of this. So I don't know what the initial idea was. I'm assuming SBE may have had some input to that, but yeah, this is the first we've heard of this. So I don't know that we saw a need for it. But again, that's not my call to make.
But as Venetia, I think what we're doing for IQC is working. We take written public comment via email. It's not posted anywhere, but it's sent to IQC who needs to see it. So I'm just listening.
So then just how does the public see the comments then? Because we through Bagley Keene, we have to have everything out there. So how do you guys put that out?
Box link. So they have to, we ask that when we post the agenda, we ask that they submit written, if they want to submit written comment, that they do it 3 days before the meeting starts so that we just have time. And then we post it as a box link and send it out to the commission.
Oh, okay. Okay, because ours is like live after the presentation, then we allot time after each item for people to call in and make their comments on each item.
Right, we do that too. We just give an
Okay.
option on the agenda that if someone wants to submit written comment, they can.
Okay.
We just had people wanting to do that for certain
Okay,
high profile
thank you.
items.
Yeah, I mean, I think the system is more of a convenience factor. I mean, just as an example, maybe Denise, you mentioned that, you take your public comment 3 days before, but you potentially have the option to do it live where you can just say, submit your public comment on, and there can always be an intention that it's not going to get posted anywhere, but you're collecting it. Or you could just be an area where they're submitting questions that they want answers to. So, I'm just trying to look at this and try to figure out. I mean, every single program has different needs. This is just a way of accepting input, however other program uses it, I don't know.
Is it possible it would cut down on the number of people waiting in line for the phone call public comment? If they did it through this interface, maybe it wouldn't take as long to get through public comment.
I mean, is Amy still up? Amy, is that a possibility? Like, say, for example,
Hi.
yeah, someone wants to post public comment through this GUI and they submit it, and then someone in State Board reads it.
Yeah, it is a possibility that this could cut down on the public comment or the people, when we return to in-person meetings, at some point, it could reduce the number of people that show up or call in. So yeah, it definitely could help with that.
And just relating to that, we do have a flagging system, which helps facilitate just flagging which questions have been answered live and which ones still have to be answered live. So I'll just ask a few more questions here.
And
well, I think during the public comment phase, there's no answering of any questions. It's
Correct.
Okay, it's just comment. Okay,
It's just comment.
never mind then.
Kevin, do you know?
Amy, this is Clayton. So you're saying the idea would be that the chat function would just be something that would be available, but it would never be live because it goes live now, but it would just be in the Q&A. I guess I'm confused.
No, I think we're thinking we could use, if a public person would use Q&A instead of lining up to get to the podium post-COVID or waiting in line in the phone system to say their 1 minute worth of comment, that they would just use the Q&A feature.
So Rodney, that's an interesting point. If they know that their question has been submitted, then it doesn't need to be seen. And since there are no responses provided for the public comment section, then again, it does not need to be seen, but the moderator who is collecting all the questions will have those questions, or will have those, will have those comments. Nobody needs to see them. And I guess, Kevin, is there a place that we could put in here that you are allowed to submit your comment through this portal? It will not appear here and it will not be answered here. Can you do that?
Yep, that's possible. So I'm gonna get rid of all these. So this would just be a one-way send that goes here. And then we can make it so that you can adjust this copy right here. And you can put that messaging in there.
Does that, Harry or Roddy, does that help?
Yeah, I think if, maybe we did a little dry run with some more state board members, set it up like that. Help them determine, get some people logged in, registered.
Back.
But so, okay, I think I'm getting confused, and I apologize if this is like a dumb thing, but so if we do public comment, it's like, and I'm thinking of the old school board meetings when they're in person. Somebody gets up, speaks at the podium for a minute in front of everybody. Everybody hears the comment. I would think that it would be the same concept here electronically. If somebody posts a comment, then everybody should be able to read those. But here you wouldn't be able to scroll, or do we not want anybody to see the public comment once it's posted?
We would want everybody to see the comment.
Correct.
Okay, so then.
Yes, we
there should
share all
be-
the public comment.
Right, so if this box right here, the Q&A box next to the video screen on the right, if that's the box where everybody can see the comment, I don't see a place where you could scroll to go up and down to see all the other comments. So if I'm just now getting on, I want to see what comment number 1 was and see how many comments there are. And oh, I see the scroll bar now.
There's a
Okay.
scroll bar there now, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
And
and
top left there.
But
So
I think
Amy-
you'd have to be registered, right? To
Yes.
see these, though.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
okay,
Oh,
and
so
not
it-
everybody would register, or we were thinking some people may not want to register.
Right.
Okay,
But they do, what do they do now when they, in person, when we used to have the board meetings, they would write their name, they would have to, it's same concept. They would put their name on the roster, sign up to speak.
yes.
Sheila, but you'd have to register to see other people's public comments.
Yeah, you get to sign up.
You'd have to
And
sign up
what's
to
the
see
registration entail?
name, email address, I guess.
But that's the basic information we'd collect when they signed in on the sheet. And
Right.
if
Yeah,
That's where the
when I
common-
sign in, if I'm number 200, when I sign in, I can look at everybody that's above me who signed in. So I
Right,
guess
so-
I'm saying, how is that any different than if they have to register?
Right, but if you're not going to do a public comment, you still have the opportunity to hear everybody else's public comment. In this system, the person who doesn't want to make a comment but wants to hear everybody
Oh,
else's
okay, got it.
wouldn't be able to.
oh, okay, yeah, that's. The other thing is we, so as how we collect public comment right now, are 2 ways. It's through the phone lines or people lining up at the podium. And then we also accept letters from people. And what we do with those letters now is, they send them through our email account, and then we put them in a box account and send out the link to the box account so that people who are signed up on our listserv can view the letters that people have submitted on specific items. Would this system allow for people to upload a letter regarding an item? And would it be visible for everyone to see?
You mean prior to the meeting, like you're doing now?
Yes, prior to the meeting.
I don't know that that was something that we were asked for, but Kevin, go ahead.
I was gonna say, right now it's text only.
Okay.
And how would it be uploaded today? Like if someone were to create the attachment for everyone to see, where would it be uploaded?
Or where do you
Into-
put the link? Where do you put the link, Amy?
We send the link out through our listserv, an email listserv.
It's not posted on the agenda at all.
It's not posted on the agenda.
Okay, because that same link could also be added
We,
as
we have issues with 508 compliance if we post to the agenda, so we can't do that.
So what about on this agenda? Could we post that link to this agenda?
even below it as a separate
Yeah.
item.
Yeah.
It would be the same. This is Clay in the web office. I mean, I know that these are management decisions for CDE, but it would be the same issue as posting it on our website.
Okay.
Same 50, I mean, we could get the same sort of civil rights complaint. There's no difference between this website and maybe
Unless we had, they submitted their comment in a form of some sort where I think CTC, the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, has this on their website. It's an example of, they have to fill out their name, contact information, the item they're speaking towards, and then it's kind of formatted so it's compliant and they can post it. I believe.
Absolutely, Amy. Absolutely,
Okay.
Amy. And I can tell you from the work that we do with other agencies, handling public comments is a real tricky thing that a lot of state agencies are dealing with. But any system that gets people to enter it as text into a text-based system where they're not uploading files is going to be pretty close to 508 compliant out of the box, where accepting file uploads is going to put us in that whole world of 508 issues. Hey, I just wanted, I know there's so many good questions, and this is always a dud when I throw this thing out there, but just on the registration page, I haven't been able to get to this page that we're looking at right here, but on this registration page, I just did our most basic automated check. I just hit this with the wave toolbar, which doesn't even do full accessibility. It just does the things it can check. And this thing just lit up with accessibility errors. And I can see just visually that there's color contrast errors. Are we checking this for 508 compliance and all the web things that people will interact with? I'm concerned because any of these things that are the result of CDE work could be a civil rights complaint if it's not fully accessible.
We can dig into those issues and correct them.
Yeah, as long as that part down there is customizable, because, for example, I would suggest putting some language there that you only really need to register if you're going to make public comment. You don't necessarily have to register to watch the meeting, something like that.
The 508 thing also would impede the chat functions. That would have to be in at least a 14-point type, correct, Clay?
Not necessarily. The law doesn't require 14-point. It's a good idea, but it's not a legal requirement. As long as people if they can hit the Control+ and expand the area on their screen, it's okay.
Or color contrast was another one that came up. So the colors are customizable, actually. Or the main color is customizable, and all the other ones will be actually customizable quite soon.
Kevin or David, just a quick question. So I know that there is a flag, I guess, for popular or not popular. Does the system allow for labeling? Like, let's just say that you wanted to label and there's a specific questions or comments that came through, like you can categorize and group those, or is it just a free-for-all where all the questions come in a queued up order, just from A to Z, or can you actually introduce a labeling system to it?
We don't have a labeling system right now. Right now it sorts either by popular or recent. But if that's something that you need, then we could look into making that.
So Sheila, you have your hand up?
Well, I was curious on this page that you have up, with this, Q&A at the bottom half of the screen and then the video on top. So would the agenda item be then where the video's at and then the comment will be all underneath it?
Yeah,
Or is this strictly just for video? I mean, I guess I wanted to see how that looked.
George, do you post the active item in the video feed?
No. Oh, yes, we do. Clayton, where's Clayton on this?
Here. Yeah,
Clayton and
so,
Eric, make sure that the current agenda
So we-
item is in the
we,
video window.
yeah, so we have slides that were given. That function is something that you want to be able to do. It depends. It's kind of tricky because sometimes they will always make changes, sometimes during the meeting, like you won't know for consent items what order they're going to be in, or are they going to do some by themselves or not. So you have a slide for that kind of stuff. But for the most part, individual items, we have graphics that appear on screen in the video.
Did that answer your question, Sushil?
No, so then you can't just basically queue up the agenda item and put it up here. We would still have to provide like a file, or like Clayton said, the slides.
Yeah, right.
You'd have to kind of prop up a slide here, right? You can't use the agenda, the automated agenda that we're posting to queue up the item.
Well, I don't know that you would want to do that, because I've been to several meetings where they jump around. The chairman of the meeting will say, we're not going to go in order. We're going to do 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and then back to 2, 4, 6, 8.
Yeah, there's you can't really depend on a chronological order on this stuff. That's what makes some of it difficult to do.
That's why we put it in the video live on the fly. We're working on this agenda item, and that's literally a momentary decision driven by the chair.
Correct.
That's right.
Then I guess I'm missing the point of an automated agenda, because now what it seems like to me, and I apologize if I'm not understanding, but it looks like we're replicating what we're doing in this different format, but we're already doing all that and doing all these workarounds to make it look kind of somewhat automated. And that's what this is doing. But we're still using all the same things that we were doing already. Do you know what I mean? I mean, unless I'm just not understanding, and I apologize if I'm not, but it just seems like we're kind of redoing what we're already doing in a different format or platform. And I didn't think that was the intent. I thought the intent was to have something fully automated to where you can queue up that item, not having to create slides, and that item would just be sent to that spot when we're doing the comment. And you don't have to go in chronological order. You can go out of order. You can, and I don't know if that's something that exists or not, but that's what I was envisioning, was something fully automated. And this doesn't seem.
Me
It
too,
would almost
Sushil.
it would almost have to be run by the chair.
Right.
Or whoever's got control of the actual flow of the meeting in real time.
Right.
Yeah, but this, even if we did that, let's say CDE says, okay, we'll control the automated agenda. This program, this software doesn't allow for that, the functionality that I thought we were wanting.
Because you can't know in advance what the chair is going to do with respect to the order of the items on the agenda. You cannot know that.
You're talking about something in terms of in real time. That's the
Once a meeting
challenge.
starts, right? Once a meeting starts, the ability to pre-plan anything goes out the window. That's what Eisenhower said, but I won't go there.
Yeah, it's really the hang up is really the real time part. The automated in real time part.
Okay. So does anybody have any more questions? Or Kevin, were you done with the demo, or are there other features that we need to see?
The only other things that would be relevant to you would be the registrations, where you can see who's registered and edit, and then analytics, where you can see exactly who's logged in and where they are.
I like that.
And every chart that you saw here, everything's exportable to either a PDF or a CSV. So you have that for your records.
Oh, nice. I see
Yes.
the little button.
So you can see exactly who's joined for how long, who hasn't joined. So you get full visibility into that.
Okay. Can you go back to the agenda? You know, the paper looking agenda with the agenda items. Oh, there it is. So I noticed the hyperlink like on item 1. What happens when you click that?
It downloads the file and opens it up. In this case, it's a Word doc.
And on the automated agenda discussion, not sure if this would help or I'm not sure it'd be implemented, but we have the ability of actually pushing live updates. So Kevin would have this page open here, and then you can actually change the content of the page and then push a refresh out to all your users. So I don't know if you'd have somebody updating an agenda at the bottom, but that is a possibility. It's just not automated as all.
So how do we do that right now, Clayton?
Oh, me. Oh, sorry. What would happen is we would have to go to wherever the agenda is. That's the actual current one. It would have to be copied from a browser page and then pasted in here. So we would have to open up and edit this in this window in edit mode, copy something in there, save and refresh the page.
Yeah, and that it takes a minute to push out. So I don't think that would be a good option for this. I propose maybe we take it back and talk to the video SSC team.
Do you have
Come up with a
access to the
plan.
HTML for that section by chance?
This section, yeah. Let me just jump over to design here.
Well, you don't have to do it now, but if you have access to the HTML, you might be able to do an iframe and call the CDE web page in.
That's an idea I did think of. So we could experiment with that if that's something you're interested in.
Well, at least that way it would match up always with the CDE version of the agenda.
Oh, I like that, Rodney.
Yeah.
We would just have to find a way to filter out like the navigation bar and the bar on the right.
That is definitely something we can take away and look into. I think I can write a script for that.
There's a couple of little accessibility issues with iframes, but they can be overcome for sure. It's doable for sure.
What are they, Clay, offhand?
The one that comes to mind is just that the iframe needs to have like a label and, you know, it needs to be named. You can get into a situation where I think that that's the big accessibility error with iframes is that they have to be, the object needs to be identified. And then I think that iframes can also sometimes cause keyboard traps where people get into them, but they can't get out. So you just need to make sure that that's not the issue either. I think if you have a clean iframe that's appropriately labeled and people can get into it and out of it, what you bring in from us should be pretty accessible on the interior. So.
Okay, it's like an alt tag.
It's like a label. It's a label for the iframe. We don't really deal with them, so I don't have it top of mind. But we used to see them a lot more years ago, and I think it's still a valid. I think you just have to check for what it requires to be accessible, and so I think it's okay. I think you can do it. That's the good news. Off the top of my head, I don't think they're restricted in not being used.
Yeah, does Adobe still have that tool for checking 508 compliance?
There's a lot of tools. The Wave toolbar is the quick and easy one. And then there's some new better ones from Microsoft. But all those tools just get you about 30-40% on what they can check. And the rest has to be manual from somebody who knows about
Yeah.
accessibility.
I know
somehow.
we used to break those engines all the time.
So I have one quick question as far as real-time updating of the agenda. What about the hyperlinks, and will those need to be re-edited each time, or is that, and Kevin, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
Explain to them why we would have to do that.
So the reason you'd have to do that is every time you copy this agenda, there are usually a few links that just need to be set to open in a new tab. But Clayton, in answer to your question, yes, every time it gets copied fresh, it would need to be adjusted.
Because other than that, if someone hits a particular link in the agenda, then it'll open up a new page instead of the one they're seeing. All of a sudden, now they're looking at a different page instead of opening up in a new tab. So then keeping track of when that gets refreshed and having to go in there and edit those links each time, remembering to do that and all that. I'm not sure how that would work, but it's a simple process. But as far as whatever else is going on in the room at the time, and okay, that's been refreshed, we've got to go back and remember to do that. I don't know. It's minor, but it's one of those things that can trip you up.
Well, are there rules with respect to what CDE posts in terms of the agenda page specifically, that if we were to ask them to modify it a little bit to make sure that every link on that page is an absolute link so that we don't have to edit it anymore? Is that a possibility?
I mean, not an absolute reference, because we have a staging site where it would break it. So that probably breaks the iframe idea, I think, because those are all relative.
Yeah, George, by
references.
absolute, do you mean just open in a new tab? Like target equals blank?
No. So for instance, item number 1, doc X, right there. We didn't need to change it this time, but we might need to change some other items. There were some other ones when we put this together the other day, Kevin, that we had to change the URL underneath some of these items. Do you remember what those were?
Yep, this is one of them right here.
Okay.
So it's not a document, it's an actual web page.
Okay, so then the answer is, well, I'm not sure what the answer is, but you see the problem, Rodney.
Yeah, they're all going to be relative references. And when it's going to a non-web document, it's going to want to open in the same window, which is Clayton's concern.
Right.
That it'll probably then they're going to get off of that comment page, I think.
Well, not just the comment page, but the stream, if that's where they're watching the stream.
Right, yeah.
And the stream just goes away just like that.
Yeah, so again, the value of having that agenda information, I guess, on that page comes into question.
So we're out of time, and I'm guessing we're not going to use this for next week's meeting. Right?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay, so I think what we need to do is probably we CDE need to meet and kind of talk about some stuff, and then George, we'll get back to you and then kind of give you some feedback. Because I can tell you right now, who, I don't do these meetings all the time. I go to them just to make sure everything's running smoothly, but I can tell you from my perspective, I can see some issues that don't work necessarily for me, but I want to confirm those things with our team and make sure that we're meeting everybody's needs, and then we'll kind of get back to you. I'm hoping there's some flexibility, and Kevin and David, I hope you kind of heard some of our issues that we brought up, and maybe we can, you guys can come up with some solutions in the meantime, and then we'll circle back.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you
All right,
all very, very much.
And no, thank you, George, for putting this together and getting everybody on your end, facilitating that. I really, truly appreciate it. And I know I gave everybody little to no notice on our side, actually on your side too. So I appreciate everybody taking the time and making this fit into their calendar and meeting today. And Kevin and David, thanks for doing a great job with the demo. It was very thorough for sure. I'm not sure that it just meets all of our needs, but I'm hoping we can find workarounds and solutions to do it. So we'll be open, to hearing what you have, solutions that you have kind of put together. But thank you, everybody. And CDE team, I sent you a separate link. Can you please hop on that so we can kind of quickly chat? And then everybody have a great weekend and Happy New Year.
Amy, see you in a few days.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.